However, sometimes when we feel like shit, the only thing we can do is our best, which is the bare minimum. My friend Amy calls this the bare mins. And during a global pandemic, that's plenty enough. This might sound counterintuitive coming from me, your favorite life coach and global motivational speaker, but it's not every lifetime we experience a global pandemic, my friends. I can speak for all of us here. This pandemic has been our first, and if all we can do right now is the bare mins, my hope is that you know that's exactly the right amount. I'm not saying ignore the advice in this book, not at all. It's still essential we look at the habits we engage in that keep us down and keep us small and take steps to free ourselves from those burdens. But if you're struggling just to keep your head above water, the bare mins is perfect for you. If you're feeling the collective grief and trauma, it's good enough to simply notice when you're in one of the 14 habits and have some self-compassion. That said, let's get started looking at those 14 common habits and misbeliefs that are weighing down your life raft so that you can chuck them overboard when you're ready. What you'll find at the end of each chapter is an update, which will follow the Ask Yourself the Hard Questions section. Sometimes I give you an additional tool, sometimes I make a new connection, and sometimes I show you how a particular habit ties into these modern times. And please know, dear listener, that I'm rooting for you. Whether you need a hug, an ear, or thunderous applause, I'm here for you, and I see you. Introduction. In early 2007, I found myself at my own rock bottom. The man I was dating had convinced me to leave my job and my apartment to move away with him. As we were planning our move, I found out he'd lied about everything during our relationship, including fabricating a story about having cancer to cover up his drug habit. He had drained thousands of dollars from me, and that same week, I was holding a positive pregnancy test in my hand. About a month after that, as I was completely out of money, he left me. I had been conned. I was humiliated, not to mention broke, jobless, had nowhere to live, and pregnant. To add insult to injury, a year before all this, my husband had left me for another woman. The pity my family, friends, and colleagues had for me was unbearable. I could feel the discomfort of them around me. They didn't know what to say or do. Some people even avoided me. It felt as if they didn't want to get too close for fear they would catch my defectiveness. I hated my life and hated myself for what I had put up with that had brought me to where I was. The loneliness and shame were crippling. It seemed like everyone I knew was either happily married or having babies, or if they were single, they certainly weren't a giant hot mess as I was. I felt like damaged goods, not to mention the dumbest woman who ever lived. I asked myself over and over, how did I get here? And how could I have been so stupid? What is wrong with me? In retrospect, I know now that in the years leading up to that all-time low, I had built a life in which I had made myself into something I thought other people wanted me to be. My spirit was shattered, and I had no sense at all of what my own value might be. I was petrified of the world, panic-stricken over what would happen if people saw the real me. Terrified at the thought of people knowing just how much I didn't know. Scared they would find out how desperately I needed other people and wanted simply to love and be loved. I had built my life around perfectionism, self-sabotage, and the need for control, habits and behaviors I thought would keep me safe. Until they didn't. Slowly but surely, as I began to heal and piece my life together, I found out I wasn't the only woman who had built my life around all those habits. As I built my coaching practice and began helping women who reminded me of my former self, I realized so many women were also engaging in exactly the same self-undermining behaviors I had, and they wondered why they felt like shit. In fact, as time went on, I began to see that there was an actual pattern of habits